Testing, 1, 2. It's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got to do.
Every once in a while, I go a bit mad, get an idea in my head for something I want to build, and I can't sleep until I get it done. And this is the result of my latest escapade. So this, guys, is a LoRa Meshtastic plus 2.4 gigahertz communicator. That's what I've called it anyway. It is a little bit of a hash job because it's a proof of concept, but basically in here you've got two radios. You've got one for LoRa for Meshtastic. So basically, if you haven't seen my last video about off-grid messaging, go and check that out. Basically, the Meshtastic system allows you to send off-grid messages between devices, and the more of them that you have in an area, they'll all automatically connect together and form a mesh network, so you can send text messages backwards and forwards. So it's possible to cover a massive geographical area and have messaging without reliance on the internet. So the other radio in here runs on 2.4 gigahertz. That's the antenna connector for it there, and that is basically like a Wi-Fi kind of panel antenna connected to it. So in here we've got a speaker, and we've also got a microphone, and that on the side there is a PTT button. So how does this work then? Well, this is a clue. So I recently stumbled across these little kids radios that run on 2.4 gigs. Now this is pretty crazy because as a radio ham, this is one of the first radios, although it's like a cheap kids little walkie-talkie thing, it transmits and receives on 2.4 gigahertz. So when I found out about this, I had to grab a couple of these, and within seconds it was ripped apart, opened up. So that is why there's only one of these now, because the guts of the other one is actually inside this. Testing, 1, 2. So obviously, because these things are toys, they're very, very simple. It's literally just a microphone, a speaker, a little circuit board in here, a push-to-talk button. There's not even a volume control. There's an on-off switch and an LED. That's it. You push the button to talk and your audio goes over 2.4 gigahertz. It's actually digital, and I'll show you that on the SDR in a minute so we can see what it looks like and whereabouts on the spectrum it is. But because it's so simple, the guts of it are just easy to put into any other little project like this. So if we have a look on our SDR, when we transmit, oh, the feedback is terrible. There's not even a volume control on this thing. But yeah, interesting. So look, you've got this sort of digital stream here. I don't know what this is or what, method of transmitting this actually is, or the modulation type. I haven't looked into it that detailed. But you can see here, center frequency is sort of 2.4 gig. And, it spans out like 2 megahertz. So, that's obviously sending fairly high quality audio across that link there. What's interesting, because obviously what we're looking at here is the Wi-Fi band as well. You can see little packets of data from Wi-Fi in the same area that this was transmitting. But when we actually transmit on this and then leave it a little while, you see Wi-Fi sort of adapt and it kind of moves out the way. I think that's what's happening anyway, because it's obviously noticing there's interference there, or what it perceives as interference. I mean, Wi-Fi is amazingly tolerant of dealing with interference because it sort of spreads itself all over the place. That is the design of it. So it can handle little devices like this, and now this, maybe not so much with the big gain antenna on it, but I suspect this uses a very similar system to things like baby monitors, which are now on 2.4 gig, and also, like the camera baby monitors as well, which send video and audio. So I suspect it's a very similar system to that. And most of this stuff doesn't kick out a huge amount of power. Let's find out how much power exactly. So I've stuck this immersion RC RF meter on. That's the good thing about having an external antenna jack. Obviously I've wired that onto the board of this inside here, but yeah, that's good because we can test the output. So these little devices are brilliant actually. They were out of stock for a long time, but I managed to get hold of one. I think they're back in stock now. But you can actually do quite a few measurements on this thing, and it handles up to 1 watt of power. Now there's no way these little radios are going to be putting out 1 watt, so I'm not going to be too worried about frying this thing. So we're on 2.4, that's all good. So we can go down here, press the PTT button. Oh god, I thought I'd turn the other one off. This feedback is insane. Right, so you can see here it's about 1.3 milliwatts. So it's not going to break any world records for range, but saying that, 1 milliwatt can go a hell of a long way in completely line of sight conditions. And of course there's amplifiers. Wi-Fi amplifiers would probably work, and big parabolic dish antennas, that sort of stuff, if you really wanted to go crazy. But for the purposes of this, I thought it'd be pretty cool and fun to have a voice and LoRa kind of device all in one. I really think a manufacturer should jump on this. A PMR 446 and LoRa device in one would be absolutely absolutely brilliant, you know, as a proper product, not kind of like a project box thing like this. Anyway guys, hope you've enjoyed this one. I love reading all your comments, although there's been a big surge of idiotic comments. I don't know what's been going on lately. If you're going to write something negative about this, just don't bother. I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, so just what's the point? But despite that, I will say there's a lot of positivity in the comment section, and I love how you guys are all kind of getting on board with this kind of mesh-tastic thing as well. So there's going to be more videos on that. I've got a Yagi which I've been testing, which works absolutely brilliantly. Some other high gain antennas as well for LoRa and mesh-tastic. Also, I'm going to talk about setting up low power repeaters, ones that can run on solar, ones that you can just hide in a little box and just shove up a tree somewhere, just so you can get really good coverage in your area. I mean, just with one good outdoor antenna, I've managed to cover most of my town. It's still a bit patchy, but I've managed to sort of provide mesh-tastic coverage for pretty much the town at the moment, which is pretty cool. Anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Catch you next time. Have a good weekend.